up, podcast community? My name is Cam King. This is episode number 100. We're going to be doing 50 season episodes for TQP. I'm going to try to get out about 50 episodes per year. So, episode 100, I guess will mark the start of our third season. Anyways, it's 6:01 a.m. here on a Friday morning. It's raining outside, and I was like, I'm going to get up, make some coffee, and do a podcast. So, been getting a lot of questions this week from CK Collective, basically about breakups. Everyone's getting ghosted, everyone's getting breadcrumbed. And if you're new to Three Questions Podcast, you're just starting this at episode 100. Somehow I got talking about breakups and relationships on the internet. When I started CK Collective, I got furloughed as a global new business director, and I built CK Collective essentially overnight in 2 days after getting furloughed and applying to 100 different jobs during the COVID era. And I built it in my tiny little Denver studio. And all of a sudden, yeah, I started teaching people how to be entrepreneurs, helping people with their sales and marketing plans. And then as I worked with more and more CEOs and other entrepreneurs, and they opened up about their personal life, we started working on their personal life. A lot of things had fallen apart for me at that juncture, especially in my personal relationships. And I worked with a series of mentors to get me back up to good standing, or really to build a new identity, which was really helpful at that time. And so I've been creating content the past couple years, surrounded on that based upon books that I've read, things that I've listened to, and things that I've experienced. And now, really, where CK Collective grows, it's not me putting myself out there trying to get fame or fortune, but I get to talk to so many people that now my clients are benefiting from just the homogeny of me being able to talk to a lot of different people and getting really, really good insights. So I'm very good at directing people about what to do. Not that my life is perfect. That's why I tell people I'm not a life coach. I hate that word. I prefer mentor. I love to teach. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love to teach and I love to learn. And if I can help people grow, whether it's doing this podcast or creating content, whatever, I just want people to become better people, more wholesome people. I want people to use their hearts and their brains to create and have an impact on their communities, their neighborhoods, and all of us could have better cities, towns, friendships, relationships, whatever, right? More success. And I'm trying to contribute to that and inspire people to do so. But Three Questions Podcast, I'll essentially come out with three questions and I will give you my more or less spiel on them. Okay. So whether you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thanks for joining. And let's hop into it because why not? So, question number one, what's the one thing you wish you'd said or never said before it ended? Uh, this one, I am not a yeller, but my last breakup, really the straw that broke the camel's back was I yelled. And I yelled something that I regretted in the morning. It came from an emotional standpoint, and I was not very happy about that. I walked away, I left, I slammed the door, I yelled, two things really, not even at the person, but it was like I just yelled and I just walked away and I slammed the door and I regretted it like instantly. And I knew it, and I took time to drive to work and cool down. And I made dinner reservations that night, and we didn't end up going, right? Because they were gone. And that's one thing that I regret, right? I learned a big thing about that. I'm not a yeller. I don't like to yell. I don't enjoy yelling. I don't like being yelled at. I think when people yell at me, I'm like, wow, that person's really losing their fucking cool. So for me at that juncture, I've had people had my girlfriends, throw pans at me or hit me or punch me or all that, and I've been pretty stoic throughout that. Things have been upsetting. I've had girlfriends look through my phone, look through my computer, and find things from years ago or things that were buried. I'm a man, I'm human, or they follow and edit my follower list. I think relationships can become quite toxic when someone becomes when their needs are not met. I don't think that people are necessarily toxic. I think everyone is inherently toxic when their needs start not getting met and they start feeling like a crazy person. So women need all five love languages. If you've never read the five love languages, I highly suggest you read it, as do men. But I think what it boils down to is what's the one thing I wish I said or didn't. I just wish that I was a better communicator in all of my relationships thus far. I know I have a business pretty much centered on communication about business stuff and personal tactics, and that's great, and I love that. And I think it's really, really important to focus on that and be able to have difficult discussions as well as advocate for yourself in the middle of difficult discussions. I spent a lot of years, couple first 25 plus years of my life really not being able to speak up for myself or stand up for myself. And now it's funny, I have a business where, I teach other people how to do that. So that feels really good. But yeah, I think I wish I was also more attentive to someone's needs. I think I tend to move really quick. I think I tend to think deeply and don't always act outwardly, especially with affection. I have a difficult time giving and receiving affection. I don't know, it's just weird. I've lived a long time that way, and it's something that I have to consciously tell myself to do. And it's not even that I like doing it. I usually just do it for another person. Kind of rambling here. I'm thinking through, what do I regret? What do I not regret? Yeah, I regret yelling overall. I can sit here and be on a podcast and pretend like I'm a perfect person. I'm fucking not, right? I make mistakes. I have regrets and I have failures, right? I've experienced guilt, shame, regret, embarrassment, humiliation. It's part of the human experience, but I tell myself, hey man, you wrote the script, right? Before you incarnated, you had a big hand in writing the script about all the things that you wanted to go through, and now you're just executing the process. So as long as you continue to learn the lesson, whether that relationship gets another chance, whether you have a time to apologize and repair that relationship, or whether the other person forgives you, or you just ultimately learn how to forgive yourself, that's the best thing that you do. I've never yelled in a relationship the way that I just explained before, but I promise you, I will never ever do that again. And there have been, what, hundreds, maybe thousands of moments where I could have yelled and I broke for the first time, and I regret that. Right? I think women are wonderful people, and I am not a yeller. I don't enjoy it. But sometimes emotions do get the best of you, and we're human. But you have to forgive yourself and move on. Nothing really that another person did or said. We can't control other people, but when I look back at the things that I've done, it's, yeah, here's how I want to improve. These are the mistakes that I made. These are the regrets. I'm not going to continue to carry them. I'm going to forgive myself and I'm going to move on. And I'm going to show and teach others by being vulnerable and being consistent with that vulnerability, because that only makes me a stronger person at the end of the day. And it inspires other people to say, yeah, I made a mistake here too. Let's move forward. So hopefully that was concise enough for you. Not too heavy, but let's hop into question number two. How did you know it was actually over, not just a rough patch? You don't. Okay. You don't know. I think the rough patch typically comes before the breakup. I think the rough patch will possibly extend into months or years before a breakup, divorce, or separation. But I think that it's usually the female partner or the more feminine partner in the relationship will recognize that rough patch first. When women, if we're talking about a heterosexual couple, when women within the confines of a heterosexual couple are going through that rough patch, they will typically start really, really rationalizing breaking up or leaving the man. And in order to do so, they may think about it, they may fantasize about it, they may set somebody up on the side or talk to someone on the side or think about returning to an old relationship, or more likely, they will start prepping their friends and their family. They will look at jobs and finances. They will think about all the little individual items that they're going to need to leave. And typically, breaking up with the guy is the last thing that they do. Whether the guy realizes that it's a rough patch or not, usually they don't. Usually they get blindsided by this because they're dealing with other things, or the rough patch is being caused by some sort of work issue or their personal life or whatever. A couple times in my life, I recognized I was going through a rough patch. I'm thinking about a 7 year relationship that I had. We pretty much had a really challenging year. And in hindsight, what I ended up doing, I ended up busying myself so much more through that rough patch because I thought that that rough patch would just magically go away. I didn't know that was something that I had to lean into instead of lean away from. And I worked 7 days a week, right? I had another side company that I built, a CrossFit travel company when I was younger, called Voyage RX. I was living in Denver and we were living together. So I would get up, I would work on my business for 2 hours in the morning, and then I would work for my advertising agency all day, 9 to 5. So I'd work on my side business. I'd get up, I'd go to the gym for 2 hours. I'd come back, I'd walk my dog by myself for an hour, hour and a half. come back, breakfast, work, and work all day. She would go to work all day. She would usually go to happy hour, get drinks with her friends. When she would be getting home or still be out, I would go to jujitsu, and then I'd come home and we'd make dinner, and we would just both pass out because we were both exhausted, or she wouldn't be home most days. Then on the weekends, I was a skydive instructor, and I would just go hike and skydive all day. And she would just take the dog and go out with her friends, go to the mountains, go do whatever. And we pretty much existed like that. You know, no dates, no fun. We weren't spending time together. And that was a rough patch. We really, really just lost sight of who we both were. And we became more or less roommates. And shit, even when we had sex, it was like, it was very transactional, even after 7 years. Um, Things that I'm not proud of, but in the confines of an intimate relationship like that, like I learned a lot of things about myself, just how distant I can be from someone else, but just how geographically close they could be. So I think when she finally decided to leave, we had one weekend, it was actually for my birthday. We ended up going to Breckenridge, I think, and we had a pretty decently fun weekend. And then a couple days later, we went to go see a hockey game in Denver. And yeah, I think we got in an argument about where we were sitting, and I didn't want to sit with a friend, so I bought my own ticket, like very avoidant move. And I just sat there by myself, and she just didn't come home that night. She stayed with a friend. She was super upset, and it was all downhill from there. So pretty crushing experience in terms of me causing my own problems, but how did I know it was done? I knew it was done because that rough patch period was almost a year long. It was like 10 months. And I remember feeling responsible for her in a way that I wanted the best from her for her, and I wanted to protect and provide her. So I suffered in that relationship. A lot of the things of what transpired were definitely my fault, but how did I know it was done? I didn't. I was blind to the fact that it could be done. And that was a really challenging thing. I think other men find themselves in positions like that, but again, from a pretty vulnerable standpoint, this is, 6, 7 years ago now, almost 7 years ago. It was really challenging for me to just kind of look at my part in that when all I wanted to do was blame the other person. So I think that should be the trigger thing. If you're in a relationship and you think you're going through a rough patch, you can tell if you're going through a rough patch by how much you blame the other person. Are you blaming the other person for this? Are you doing that? Are you really nitpicking all the things that they're doing and not doing? Because when you point the finger at someone else, don't you have three other ones pointed back at you, right? So think about that next time you start kind of griping about your partner, okay? Or you're in a dating scenario and things are maybe going sideways right now. Anyways, that was a long one, but question number three, what did the breakup teach you about what you actually need in a relationship? This is a tough one. Everyone has needs. I don't care who you say you are. I think when it comes to personal relationships, intimate relationships, business relationships, everyone, every business, everything has a need. Your dogs have needs, your cats have needs, your kids have needs. So to think that you as a man, if you're listening to it, don't have needs, because I've said that shit before. Oh, I don't have any needs. I accept you as you are. It's fine. No. I need love, attention, and affection, especially from one person, my partner. And if I'm not getting that, I tend to self-sabotage, right? Everyone struggles with self-worth, self-identity, self-esteem. Things can be tough enough, personally and professionally. And I think that life itself is just such a wild ride that the bumps and bruises make it easier when someone is there and you're able to sort of express your needs. I feel like sometimes just being heard is probably my biggest need. Like sometimes I just want to be like, all right, this is what I got. Like, what do you think? Or I just want someone to vent to. Okay. And I think that through my own experience and living a lot of different lives, I've attempted to join a lot of different communities, skydiving, CrossFit, jujitsu, living in Denver, being in Boston, college, high school, living in Europe, other entrepreneurial endeavors that I've made with friends and best friends. And I've had a lot of different groups of friends, and I've had a lot of different identities through the years. But really just feeling like someone really fucking had my back was also probably one of my biggest needs. And that's hard to find. So I think from a partner standpoint, every relationship that I had helped me to sort of identify and cultivate my needs. And whether it's a personal friendship or whether it's an intimate relationship, if I don't feel like someone really has my back and my best interest in mind, right? If someone else badmouths me and one of my friends is like, nah, that's my boy. Like, we're cool. Like, I don't agree with that. Or it's my girlfriend and somebody says something and she stands up to them. Those things are really, really attractive for a person. And I think that you should really think about that. I think that you should identify your needs. And I think that when you're in a dating scenario or a partnership scenario, having consistent conversations about your needs is something that can and should be done over time. Okay. So, what did I really learn about my last? Already forgot the question. Excuse me. What did the breakup teach me about what you actually need in a relationship? Yeah, it was just about my core needs, wanting to be seen, understanding that, okay, I have an abandonment, issue. I have abandonment trauma, right? Yeah, that was one thing that I realized. Some of these breakups hit me a little bit harder than I expected them to. And I was like, what's going on here? So me digging into that own abandonment trauma, understanding that it was me that had to curate and heal that hole within me by writing and journaling and expressing myself in certain ways, and then reading books about abandonment trauma and how to sort of heal that myself, and then accepting myself and giving myself encouragement to go and do new things was really, really helpful. Showing up for yourself, showing up for your inner child, and then always being able to give back to other people, even if you're hurting, even if you're suffering from something. That was really one of the best things that I learned how to do. And I'm super proud of that because you can learn and change at any age. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be anyone or do anything specific, but understanding your own trauma and then how that exactly correlates with your needs and not placing your fulfillment of your needs upon another person is a very important thing that you need to learn in a relationship. Relationships are designed to pull out and help you identify what your needs are, but if you place 100% of the burden on another person to fulfill those, you're going to build resentment towards that person because there's no way they're going to be able to do that. And hopefully that was concise enough. But I see a lot of people place their hopes, their needs, their wants, expectations, aspirations, dreams, goals, wishes fulfilled. They place it upon another person. And when that person falls short, they're the ones that get hurt. They're the ones that get mad. How does that make any sense? It doesn't. So, as much as you can, you need to be the one that gaslights yourself and be like, hey, I'm worth it. Hey, I believe in myself. Hey, I deeply love and accept myself. I forgive myself for my past mistakes. You need to be able to cultivate that self-talk because you can fulfill, I believe, up to about 80% of your own needs. 20% you can derive from another person. And that's the whole purpose of relationships and why we consistently seek relationships in our life, because there is an aspect where you do need a little bit of external validation, a little bit of external fulfillment. And that's a role that I believe relationships play within our lives. Okay. So that's pretty much all I got for TQP this morning. Solo dolo episode number 100. I really appreciate you guys listening. If you want to work with me, ckcollective.us is my website now. Go book an intro call. I love working with people on relationship issues because when people have good relationships, they become better, more whole, more fulfilled people, and then they do better at work, and then they exist in a better community when we partner up and we're in healthy family dynamics. Um, Man, it just makes everything better, right? The world is a better place when we are in healthy, abundant relationships, making more money, taking care of each other, and then really just showing up as a tour de force in partnership. And that really makes me happy. I love seeing happy couples. I love seeing happy families. And I want people to generally be happy and powerful themselves. And that's really why I built this whole thing. Okay. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, shoot me a DM, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.